and welcome to our first ever show.
We are live.
Isn't it exciting?
It is quite exciting.
I know.
It's very exciting.
It's taken quite a while to get here, actually, to be honest. we were planning to get this started, I think, in November or something, and it's just grown arms and legs.
Has a wee bit, but it's been a fun trip getting here. Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to start off with what we normally will be doing. So that's the news first, the news of Aaron. Now, it is January. And
I thought we were going to start off with cake.
And I can't believe with the stuff that you've brought in. And you drank my coffee when I took Dusty home. Anyway, we're going to start off with the news.
Very nice coffee.
Thank you. The biggest news of the week, I think, is us, really, to be honest.
It's incredible. It really is incredible.
We're very, very humbled by all the likes and comments that I've had in the co-op or whatever. It's just been...
Keep them coming. I
know, it's just one of those things that... we hadn't really anticipated the feedback, and we're going to go into this a bit later on. There's obviously a need for this kind of thing, but I think we've sort of scooped everybody else this week. So I'm just blowing our own trumpets here. Well,
yeah.
you can play your harp, but I'll blow a trumpet. So thank you for that. But we'll go back and talk a bit more about that a bit later on. Meanwhile, news. You've got. You've got news of the art thing. The banner's covering a story from Brendon Nursery. Now, I've heard on the grapevine, i.e., in
just jungle drums.
Well, no, it's the express checkout at the co-op. It's where you hear all the good news. That this might actually be resolved, so we're not going to follow up on that too much at the moment. There's a nice article in here about the cycling club as well that I thought was really good, because the kids the Aaron Mountain Bike Club at our local high school is very popular, and I know because I print their T-shirts. So they've done a really good job, and they're getting a lot of coverage. So I think it's really nice that the kids get out as well, especially this time of year when they're not sitting at home on their Xboxes.
It's a good thing. I mean,
my son Carter's sitting in the corner, and he's.
It's a great place to even just get out for a walk.
Absolutely.
Even if you're not cycling. I went for a walk the other day.
There was a bunch of cyclists come down Goatfell track yesterday when we were walking.
Was it not too icy? Because some of the paths are quite icy.
No, we got as far. I think we got as far as the tree line. It was still fine. There was a lot of snow yesterday morning, but it had gone by about 2:00. So anyway, you've got news that you want to cover a bit later on, and know because we do have a special guest here, and we're very indebted to her for coming in. But you've got news.
Our first guest. She's going to get a prize for this, I think.
Guinea pig.
News. Well, one of the big things, and it is in the banner as well, if you haven't seen it, is the Pie Award. Fantastic.
We're gonna show you a picture of Woolies pie.
There were 460 entrances. 60 pies went in for this, and Woolies the Bakers got a bronze award for theirs. It's the steak pie, and it does look rather nice.
Yep. Can you get in a bit further, Carter? Yeah. That's it. There you go. One steak pie. I know it's just a steak pie, but as you say, it's
a big deal. That's a lot of competition.
It's a big deal. It deserved the coverage it got in the banner, and you should read the banner because it goes into all the ins and outs of a steak pie. We should appeal to you, seeing you've got half the kitchen in front of you.
Yeah, well, we might heat that up. I prefer them hot.
Thank you, Gus. So
go into Woolies and definitely try out their steak pies because they are award-winning pies. Yeah, that's cool. It's not a huge amount of news going on.
Well, it's January. We're not expecting really that much at the moment. The big news, obviously, during the week, and this kind of feeds into our next thing, is that ever popular company at this time of year. We've had serious problems with the ferries. If you're on Arran, of course, you'll know all about it.
It's also been pretty windy.
Well, it has, and this goes into political debates that we're not going to do on this show.
No, we're not going there.
We're not going there.
I was away yesterday, actually. No, day before yesterday. It was lovely. It was a nice thing.
Yep, but yeah, we've had significant disruption to our services. But I think this week we're looking a bit better, aren't we? So, but yeah. What?
Happening with the ferry?
Well, we don't know. I'm not in complete sort of clued up with when it's coming back. The Caledonian Isles, the ferry service at the moment finishes with a double ferry On the timetable, it finishes on the 21st, which is Tuesday. And you've got something else about the ferry on Tuesday.
Well, it did say on.
Do you want to do? Shall we introduce this properly?
I think we should. I think we should introduce.
This deserves, just for Mark Bunyan, who's a local here that never goes on the ferry but needs to know every 5 minutes. We've got something especially for you, Mark. Don't you just love acronyms? I love it when a plan comes together. You know, I just love the yeah. Anyway, and we have actually, rather than give you the ferry news ourselves, in brief, we've got.
So is it sailing just now? Is the ferry? Can we ask someone if it's actually sailing?
We can ask somebody. Gosh, this isn't scripted at all. We can ask
That
somebody.
wasn't scripted, but
Right, just a second. We'll ask. I'll tell you who we'll ask. We'll ask Elmer. Let's find out from Elmer.
Elmer, what do you think?
Hi, Heather. Hey, Graham. It looks like the ferry's running on schedule, but, you know, things happen. I just hope you get where you're going.
Thanks, Elmer.
I think he's brilliant. I think he's a brilliant.
Can we have him back? Will he come back again?
Well, yeah, we can. Yeah, we can get him on anytime.
Yeah.
We can get all sorts of people on.
I do like Elmer.
Now, we should say hello to a few people that have popped on at the moment. We've got a hello from the Big Co-op, hello.
Yay!
Anne Hume's on, Patricia Templeton's on, John Tilbury saying hello from Newcastle. That's nice that we've got people from other places on. By all means, just drop in, say hello. We'll try and mention everybody as they come up. It depends how many comments we get. But and if you comment something relevant, we can get back to you, especially when our guest comes on. There's a slight clue, very, very small clue, who our guest is. Yeah, maybe. So we'll get into that a bit later on.
Do we get to keep it?
I believe we do. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So is that
It's a competition prize for next week. Thank you very much. It's very generous of you. Did we not tell you that?
No, we never discussed that. We were
okay.
bringing it in. We never discussed that.
So, if you're new to Facebook video, and some people on our end certainly will be, you can comment and we can see them coming up on our software here. So if you
it does come in a wee bit late for us.
Yeah,
it's 20-second delay.
It's a 20-second delay. So if you are commenting on something pertinent at the time, we might have to go back to it if we've gone on. But we kind of talk quite a lot.
No.
So yeah, we do. So and also comment if you can't hear us or if there's a problem with your, the audio or whatever. Just let us know. We are fairly clued up with all the software we've got, and we've got everything up and running. I think fairly well. We've spent a little bit of time and money getting used to stuff. So, nice scarf, Heather. Where did you get it? David Drummond wants to know. Is that one of your own?
This is one of my new ones.
Well, there you go.
This is one of my new scarves.
You get an opportunity to
This is cotton
flog your
batiste.
scarves.
Yeah, cotton batiste.
For those of you who don't know, Heather is not only Aaron's harp player, but she's also, well, you can introduce what you do for a living. I've got half of your shop in mind, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, it works quite well, actually. We'll maybe have a look at that later. I've got a squeaky chair.
I'll get you some WD-40 for next. Are you sure it's the chair?
It might not be. It could be my knees.
But Heather is a silk painter as well, artist of all sorts of things, don't you?
And I've recently just started
and you've just
doing
gone
my
into that.
shibori dye with real indigo.
So thank you, David. That's a very nice comment to make. I'm sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Hello from Lumnice from Alison. Alison Page. Yeah, we'll try and get Alison in sometime, won't we?
That would be nice.
Yeah, she's bubbly. So we'll get her in as well. So what is next? We're gonna. You want to do the Art and Mind, don't you?
Well, I was just going to do a wee mention of
Yeah.
it, and we might come back to it again.
Yeah.
The Art and Mind exhibition is on in the Arran Library. There's over 20 pieces in there, and it actually looks fantastic. I haven't been in to see them up close, but I have seen some photographs of it, and it's a fantastic organisation. And some artists do go in and help with the creativity in this to support them. So that's on till the end of January. So if you get a chance to go into the Arran Library, have a look at it. It's definitely worth going in.
Good. Do you know how many times I've actually been into the library on Arran in 25 years that I lived here?
Do you read?
Yeah, no, not much. No. I've never actually been in the library.
Never.
No,
It's
I
a
haven't.
really good. That's shocking. You have to go in there and see the exhibition and have a look in
Right.
the library. It's a great place to
Well, you're
be.
making a coffee next week because it was dreadful. Anyway, events this week. We haven't. Well, we've got events happening this week. Most of the stuff we've been given is stuff that you'll find online easily enough. What we really want to do with the events is to make sure that you might be unaware of events that are just not advertised that much, and they're once a year or something like that. And I think it's important that when we get into doing, encompassing this, what's happening on our thing is really going to be tailored about events that are happening, maybe the mountain rescue, mountain festival, beg your pardon, stuff like that, rather than they've got a gig on tonight or whatever.
There's music festivals as well, and there's lots of exciting things happening.
Yep.
And, sport festivals. Yeah, it's good.
Right.
It's good.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to get our guest in. Is our guest ready? Has she finished all my coffee?
Yeah, I'm just enjoying the coffee.
Yeah. I made coffee obviously for not enough. Two and a quarter people. I took Dusty home, my dog, and I came back to the quarter of a cup. Thank you very much.
It was exceptionally good coffee.
Okay, so while Senja comes on, in the professional way of not having someone walk on halfway through a broadcast, we've got something else we want to show you.
Professionally produced advertising for social media is now available from What's Happening on Aaron. We can take your video or photographs and add customised background music and voiceovers from professionals in the industry. What you end up with is a cost-effective production that you can use on your social media pages. We'll even give you some airtime here on WOA during live broadcasts. Why not get in touch today and make sure people know what's happening with you?
And we are back. Wasn't that professional?
That-
Do you not think?
Well, I hope so.
No, we don't actually see this.
I'm a wizard as well. I've just wizarded Senja into the studio, and thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Very, very happy. I mean, to be the first. This is the pilot, and we're really lucky to have this beautiful painting behind us. I think this could almost stay here for a wee while. Quite like
I'm
quite
just
like
going to back
the
up
backdrop.
because I've got two women talking about art, so I'm going to back up a little bit and just let you get on with it.
But Senja, if for those who don't know, Senja Brendon, she's a fantastic artist, definitely squeaky chair here. And when did you move to the island?
So a year past December, so just over a year. I've
All
been here.
right,
And my
wow.
husband Dominic, he's been here about a year and a half.
Right. So what was the decision? What we're going to move to Arran? What made you think of it, Arran?
A combination of things, I think. Really, it was mainly to be near the sea. It's always been my dream to live by the sea. As a seascape artist, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But I was waiting for my children to finish studying in Edinburgh, but they're both in Glasgow now, so Arran is a really handy place for them to come and visit. And I do a lot of my painting over in Kintyre, so I've got a little caravan over there, so I'm kind of in between the mainland and the Wild West of Kintyre, basically. So, and the people is probably the other thing that attracted us to this island. Everybody, yeah, really.
It's a wonderful
I'm going to
community.
get shot for that
It
one.
is
I
wonderful.
love the
No, it's
community
wonderful.
here. It's
Yeah.
good.
In fact, it's so wonderful. My dad's come up and joined me now as well. So
Oh,
he's
of
here.
course
So, hi,
he's
Dad.
moved in. Yeah. Oh, hello, Senja's dad. I haven't met you personally yet. I'll meet you soon. And you have your studio now, which isn't a
Yeah,
stone's
so
throw
I'm
from
actually
here.
a neighbour
Neighbours
of
here, you are.
up at
You-
Cladich.
Now, if I could just jump in there, Senja's taken over what used to be a pottery,
That's
Jake
right.
Irvin's place, and it's noticeable by this massive sign outside. And the studio itself, that's a picture that you gave me the other day,
Yeah.
of your work in progress. Everything is quite big, isn't it?
Yes, that's the beauty of finally having a space that's big enough to paint in, and having the height as well in there is really good. So I must point out as well that the sign that we've got up at the moment, we've got to add our names because I share the space with Katie Litton, who's also another artist who lives in Whiting Bay, with her children Torin and Greta and Tilda. Hello. I said I would say hello to them today.
Hello.
So the two of us have been refurbishing Jake's old pottery, just making it a bit warmer and drier. And we're opening it up to the public. We've got ourselves on the annual art trail. So we should be open springtime, sort of 10 till 5 most
That's
days.
great, and you'll both be in there
And
painting.
we'll both be in. Katie said she'd do the sort of 7 o'clock open up every morning, didn't you, Katie? Was it 6, 7 in the morning?
Well, that's when
and-
you're out with the dogs, taking all your, you know, your
I'm fell running
inspiration
at 6
for
o'clock.
the seascapes.
That's right, I'm fell running at 6 o'clock, and then by the time I come back down, have my coffee at 10, I'll be in about 11, Katie. So we might have to discuss this further. I'm not too sure about the timings there.
Then again, I'm trying to ask you just a little bit closer. Thank you, and thanks to Chris for pointing out that I've just increased the microphone output a bit. Yes, thank you. I think so.
So certainly, if you want to see Senja's work, the studio, but you're in there sometimes, even when it's not officially open.
Yes, basically, I mean, typical artist. Sometimes I'll be outside painting on location. Other times I'll be in the studio, and once I get going, it's hard to stop. So sometimes I've been kind of locking up at 9 o'clock at night. But if I'm ever there, I put my sign out that says I'm open and I'm in the studio. So you're very welcome to come in and have a look around.
And you're also, it's not long till you're running a non-visual arts class as
That's
well.
right, yes, really excited. We've been doing up an old house actually in Whiting Bay, which has taken a lot of our time and energy, and then refurbishing the studio as well. But finally feeling now I can start to get involved in a few things locally. So I'm going to be running a seascape painting in oils class. I think it's the 22nd and 23rd of February, so that's the Arran Visual Arts.
Might
Based
even
up at the
book up
castle.
for that
So
one
it's
too.
all new to me. So yeah, that's going to be quite exciting to get involved with that. And also the Art in Mind is something that, you know, I'd be quite happy to get involved in when I've got a bit more time.
That's great. That's
So
really,
yeah,
really
no,
good.
it's really important to me to get involved in local things as well.
I've just popped up the other picture of you, and it's just while I'm stretching over to change the audio output a bit. But that's another picture of your a close-up
Yes,
of one
actually,
of your big
that's
storm pictures.
That's right, that one's called Momentum. And actually what was really strange about that one was we were hanging an exhibition at the Lochranza distillery last week with, I think it was Storm Brendon, weirdly. And we had to come back the long route as Corrie was flooded. And actually I felt like I was in that particular painting, and I was laughing because normally it's the other way around. Normally I'll see a view and then want to paint it, but I was looking out at the sort of 6
You were
to
in
8
it.
foot waves, yeah. And I actually thought, gosh, I feel like I'm in that painting. So yeah, it was a different way around for me, but yeah, that was an exciting trip home.
Oh. And is this the kind of thing, you know, the sort of waves and, well, generally seascapes you're going to do at the Arran
Yes,
Visual Arts?
I mean, I do focus on seascape. I'm actually working on a commission at the moment, which is somebody who got married in Austell Bay in Argyll. So it's quite an unusual view of Arran looking back the way from there. So I'm working on that, and then I've got a commission that's going to America of a big charcoal wave. So I'm quite excited to get my charcoals out again, do some big moody waves, crashing waves. And
How do you send them out? Do you roll them up?
roll them up
yeah,
in a
just
tube,
roll them up in
and
a
you get
tube.
special, what's called, I think, glassine paper that you put on top to stop all the dust and moving around. And I'll fix it all and things first.
You've got one in your shop. When I went in to see you the other day, that I said, oh, I really like that one. It was a bit, the colour wasn't quite my colours. It wouldn't really go in my house. But you said it was too minimalist. You know,
Yes, I was experimenting with a more minimalist approach.
But I think that's what people.
Yeah,
some
so
people
maybe
just
you
want
just
that.
leave it.
Yeah, I just like these. Just and this one's very jade coloured, but I just like blue and then.
So I like the texture that Senja uses.
It's sort. I mean, you'll know this, Heather, as an artist. It's that when to stop is one of the hardest questions to answer as an
I know,
artist.
I know.
Isn't it? It's difficult.
Quite often I never quite get it right, you know.
Yeah, it's good to live with them for a few days and then decide. I think.
But did you see the sunrise this morning?
Wasn't it beautiful?
Oh,
really
wow.
Go on, this
gorgeous.
is another advert
Really
for your
gorgeous.
picture, isn't it? This is the sunrise this morning that Heather took on the way down to the ferry.
There's no filter in that. That was literally, I just took my phone, I stopped the car, took my phone out and took that photograph. And it was stunning, absolutely
It's an
stunning.
island of inspiration, it really is. Every time I'm walking the dogs, I'm at work.
Well, even some days when it's...
We should have that. That should be at the bottom of Visit Aaron thing for the year. There you go, Sheila. An island of inspiration.
Oh, it is. It definitely is. I mean, the other day we went a walk and it was overcast. It wasn't the brightest of days, but the colours and the light coming through, it was just
And it
superb.
changes all the time. I sometimes think I could go out for one day and then paint for a month just from that day. There's just so many things happening, and it's one of the beauties of Scotland as well, is the light changing all the time.
And you
and
do
the colours.
sometimes paint on site.
I do.
Then-
That's actually my favourite way of painting, and I'm really looking forward to getting myself set up to do that a bit more often as well.
Do you get pestered by people? Well, I won't use the word pestered, but do people?
Oh yes, yes. If you're painting on location, people always want to come and see what you're doing and have a look. Yeah, absolutely.
See, that would bother me.
Oh,
I
it
don't
doesn't
think I
bother
could
me
do
at
that.
all.
No, you're quite okay with
But
that.
then I've taught for a long time as well.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of used to people looking at what I'm doing, and
It's more I just like the space. It's a switch off. I'm in my own wee bubble when I'm doing that.
Yeah,
So if somebody
yeah.
comes in and talks to me, I'm not.
No,
you can
I'm
ask
quite
Les
a
about
sharer.
that.
I don't mind people seeing what I'm doing or how I'm doing it, and that's why I think the Iron Visual Arts will be really nice. I'm actually looking forward to sharing some of these techniques with people.
It's a huge
Yeah.
thing, isn't it, around how art and all that. It's just taken off. It's just, you know, the art trail and all that kind of stuff.
I know, but I think part of it is when you live in this island, whichever part of it, there's just something new you're looking at, or you know, sometimes I have to, if you drive down to the south end to pick somebody up, and you have you stop the car sensibly, you know, pull into a lay-by, don't
Well, not
clog up the traffic, and
Oh, we're going to get a whole bunch of comments now.
You started it now.
You're going to start on about cyclists soon, aren't you?
No, actually, no. I am a lapsed cyclist, for want of a better word. But yes,
Yeah.
let's not
Yeah.
go there.
I mean, going back to what you're saying, what attracted me to the island, I think the thriving art community here is definitely, you know, something to do with that too. The fact that although it can be a very lonely existence working as an artist, but when you're in an environment like Arran where there are so many artists who organise events together and things, it can actually be quite a sociable scene to work in, which is lovely.
And different mediums. There's so many people working, and you know, we have jewellers, people like Anne, who's watching, in Anne Hume. I mean, her jewellery,
Beautiful.
lots of different jewellers, potters, Marvin Elliott,
Photoshop.
Photoshop,
Good
yes.
old Photoshop.
Well, that's a skill in itself. I've never mastered
Well,
Photoshop.
Yeah, I get away with it.
But no, it is. It's fantastic. I love it. I think it's great.
We've just started paint by numbers
That's true. Have
in
you
the shop.
have you finished yours
No.
yet?
I'm not a very good advert for myself. We've just started, Ingrid and I were discussing this last year, and we thought, well, we'll get some paint by numbers done. But we've done adult ones, and they're very, very tricky. But we'll get there.
You could have gone for
You'll get to frame it one day.
bigger bits. You know, it's quite intricate, this one. There's a lot of numbers.
There is.
You know, maybe
there
go
is,
for
yeah.
something a wee bit simpler.
I'm trying to get Carter involved, but what do you think, Carter? Can you finish that one off for me? No. Yeah.
You can think.
That was a great team.
You can think about that.
No,
You
I'm
can
going,
think
yes.
about that.
It's just not in his remit at the moment, is it really? Not your kind of thing. No, fair enough. Okay. Well,
So, do we have any questions for Senja?
any questions? We've got
Lots of hello. Oh, hi
we've
from
got-
Ardrossan.
Hello from
Yeah.
Sister. Thank you to Chris
hello.
Atkins for mentioning the audio. I'm still trying to find the bit that I'm just checking this microphone's actually got power going to it, but I can't find it, so we'll worry about it next week.
Christy Mackenzie from in Tenerife.
Mick Miller.
All the way from Tenerife?
Yeah.
Mick Miller is a very good customer of mine from Ardrossan, so he said he'd pop on. So it's nice to see everybody coming in.
And yes, Elizabeth Wilkinson, we do have cake, and we don't have the Cake Crusaders with us, so we're going to have to eat the cake here.
Yay.
Do you think I should maybe
I
open?
can't believe. See, there was I all week. I've been texting you. Oh, I've got this bit of software sorted out. We've got the mugs. We've got the little microphone holders and everything else. We need to do this. We need to do that. And all you're saying is, what about cake?
Well, it's important. Cake's
mean,
really important.
Heather knows the way to my heart. That's why I'm here, Graham.
So anyway, well, I think next. Well, by the way, everybody that comes on, you get your mug to take home with you. And I know you've got mugs to sell in your shop, but you can put your paintbrushes in that.
It'll be special, Graham.
It'll be full of white spirit and methylated spirit. Anyway.
And Senja does have a website if you want to look her stuff up, her work up. Have we got a wee thing that comes up with that? It's
John Tilbury saying he's a self-taught Photoshopper. It's taken 10 years of trial and error, and I still don't really know what I'm doing. Photoshop's a nightmare. Photoshop's one of these programs. I know it's taking away from the.
no, it's okay.
But it's one of these bits of software that you will never use it in its entirety. It's got so much, and people say,
I have
and people say,
bit
oh,
like
that's
my
been
phone.
people say, oh, that's been photoshopped. Well, Yeah, but in what way has it been photoshopped? Because you can add your standard filters and then you can take people out of pictures. I mean, the stuff that we've done over the last 20 odd years with Photoshop, some of it's very, very basic to me. You know, there's a button on it called auto tone, and John, if you've used auto tone, you can put a very old picture in, and it can be an old, you know, picture from 80 and 90 years ago, and if it's got a broad fade all the way across it, you can put auto tone on, and it just pops the image
whole thing
straight out.
at once.
And we have had
Wow.
pictures in of there was a particular one we had in, and I think it may have been when Janice was still with me. We had a picture in, and it was a lady and a man in a garden with the house behind, and you pressed auto tone, and out of the blue, or out of the faded brown as it were, there was another woman in the background on a bicycle, and you
Ooh.
wouldn't have noticed.
Was it
that she was
ghosty
there.
woman?
Ghost.
So
The
Photoshop's
Photoshop
got
ghost.
this sort of all-encompassing thing of what it does digitally with
That
with
might
stuff.
be useful for, you know, Whiting Bay Memories. I know they've got a Facebook page and they quite often
We used
have
to get
really
them all
old
the time.
Yeah, we've
photographs.
got some
Yeah.
fantastic
Yeah.
photographs.
I've kind of
That'd be
stopped
good.
doing it, so please don't bring in all your old photographs next
Too
week.
late
You
now.
could run a course. You could do an unvisual
Yeah,
arts on
I haven't got
Photoshop.
anything else to do. You know, I've got
You've got your
Carter,
paint by
I've got my
numbers.
dog, I've got this. I've now.
You still got to finish your painting by numbers.
Thank you. Now
I'm
just
really-
give me 2 seconds while I put my microphone back. Oh, this is going to make a noise. Right.
Website for Senja,
Right.
should you wish to look at some of her work, is www.senja-art.com. Is that
That's
right?
right, yes.
It's on screen.
Yeah.
We have the technology.
And my Facebook page is probably more up to date at the moment, which is Senja Artist on Facebook.
Just Senja
Capital S,
Artist?
capital A, all one word.
Anne Hume's asking how long you spend on a painting.
Oh, that's like how long is a piece of string, and it's a really good question. Weirdly, some of my favourite paintings happen quite quickly. Just everything comes together and it just works. And I now have painted long enough, I know just to stop, and that's okay. Because sometimes you almost feel guilty if a painting happens too quickly, like you haven't spent long enough on it. And the temptation is to fiddle around with it. But if it just works, it just works.
It's really funny you say that, because I feel that when I'm doing some work for somebody. You know, it takes me 10 minutes, and
Yeah,
And-
you almost
and-
feel bad about
yeah,
it. But actually,
and-
what about all your years of experience that
Well,
have gone into that 10 minutes?
yes.
All
Yes.
the trials and the
all my
errors.
all my
and the ones that haven't
qualifications in
worked.
graphic design. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not doing myself any favours
Yeah.
here. I'm
But back to your question, Anne. Some of the
It's knowing when to stop.
no, you won't stop. But no, some of the big ones I can be working on for 2-3 weeks. Just I layer them up, which is what gives the depth to the skies and to the shore. And all the different colours in the sea. So I sort of will do a layer, let it dry, and that's why it's great to have a big studio space so that you can work on several at once,
and
letting them
you've
dry.
actually got a whopping great big one in there, haven't you, on the back wall?
Oh,
I
a
mean,
huge one, yes,
It's
uh-huh.
Stunning.
yes.
We did want to bring that one in, but we
No.
didn't
It
have
took
enough.
two
I
men.
don't-
It took
I don't
two men
think,
and some
um,
very tall ladders down.
don't-
You'll need to come to the studio to see that one.
I don't
It's
think
a
my-
very large.
I'm
large
not
wave.
sure my carpentry skills would actually support it. We are actually in Aaron Graphics at the moment, and those of you who haven't been in or don't follow my website will know that I've been refurbishing, and we've still got a little finishing to do. But it does actually look like we're in a log cabin at the moment. But anyway, I've got another question from Asia. She's wondering, do you work in oil too? And if yes, how do you transport the wet painting?
Yes. Hi, Asya. Yes, I work mainly in oil when I'm not working in charcoal. Oil's my main medium. And I use a thing called impasto medium. It's made by Winsor & Newton. And if you add that to your oil paint, it accelerates the drying time.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
it makes a massive difference. So what I do is I've actually got a little box with sort of slots in it, like little shelves. So if I'm away on a trip in my camper van, I can do several paintings and I can slot them into the...
So they're not going to contact, there's no
so they won't
contact.
contact each other. But before I had that, I used to just lay them everywhere on my camper van, on all the ledges and sills. But generally within a couple of days, it will be touch dry. Not completely dry all the way through, but it does allow you to use oil paints in a way that without that medium, the drying time would prohibit you.
There's quite a few
working.
people I'd like to know about that who bring pictures to get framed and they're still quite
Wet.
wet.
yeah. But no, you can get all sorts of mediums for oil paints nowadays. Ones that will thin your paint and speed up the drying, ones that will thicken your oil paint and speed up the drying. But definitely, especially if you're painting out and about or you're away somewhere, you don't want to be bringing wet oil paintings home with you.
There are some fantastic new things available
amazing,
now. I mean,
amazing.
I've seen a huge difference even in the past
I'm
10
really
years.
excited. I've just got some liquid charcoal, which is
Ooh.
a new thing by Nitram, and also liquid graphite. It's like painting with graphite, and when it dries, you can rub into it. So I'm really looking forward to experimenting with some of these
I'm looking
new
forward to
mediums
seeing
year.
this. That'd be
It's
good.
going to be fun.
And Anne's asking another question. Do you ever get stuck?
Oh yes. Yes. Absolutely. I think that's just a given. But what I tend to do if I get stuck now, before I used to get really cross with myself and just think, I wasn't good enough or I couldn't manage it. Whereas when I get stuck now, I just think, right, move on to something else, walk away.
But you won't get stuck for subject matter, surely.
Never stuck for subject matter.
The sea's
No.
there. So,
And another thing that I found works quite well is if I do get a bit stuck on something, is just prime up some smaller boards or have some smaller canvases and things to hand, and just have some fun. Sometimes you just need to take a break and have fun.
Do you know what you could do? You could do a painting of the sea in different stages of it being from flat, and then you could give them to CalMat, and they could use that as a bit more graphic.
I thought you were going to say you can finish off your painting by numbers.
No,
Did you think that
too? No, I just meant, you could give it to Cal, and might just ease people's moods a bit, rather than just seeing a great big, Red Cross or something. They could see, they could see
the
something.
two exclamation
They could see
marks and the
something
big
like
cross,
that
they
instead.
could just see a big stormy wave.
Yeah, that would be far more represented. So maybe we should just suggest that to CalMac. Has anybody ever suggested anything to CalMac?
Tailor-made icons.
I wonder what colour the carpet's going to be when the Caledonian Isles comes back.
I don't know.
Because they do two things when they take the boat for a refurb.
Yeah, they change the whole colour scheme.
The carpet's changed in one of the lounges, and the lasagnas are slightly different recipe. That's what I'm aware of at CalMac. And the other thing is, I don't think any of the crew ever sit in the observation lounge on the seat that's up the front at the right, because the cushion's always falling off that one. There was a guy up there the other day when I was on the boat, and he actually slipped off because he was asleep. Anyway, there's a loose cushion, and there's things like that, that you'd think.
I had a lasagna from the parlour last.
They're never going to let me back on again. Hello to Fred from Shortland from Lochranza.
So you're not flooded in yet, Fred?
Fred's.
There's been a lot of rain about. Whiting Bay got flooded.
It did.
Down near the terrace, it was quite flooded, and a lot of the back gardens got covered in water.
Fred, as I lives in a house that I
In
believe is, yes, and we would like, if Vary Calvi is watching at some point. Vary is my lovely actress friend who was in Braveheart, and I think Fred's living in her old house. So I think.
Oh, is that her house?
Yeah, I think we would like to get Vary on at some point. She's, if you remember watching Braveheart, those of you who don't know the story, Vary was picked out of a lot of people. She lived in Lochranza for a number of years. I met her when she was obviously 5 when I was in Lochranza, and she is.
And that she stayed in
She's
the house
acting now.
that
She's just
Fred's
been
in?
nominated for an award, for a National Film Award, and she used to stay in that house. And we used to go for walks with the dogs and stuff like that.
Maybe we could ask you, Fred, if we could host a show from your house at some point, because it's beautiful in there.
Yeah, it's
Really
a very
lovely house.
it's a nice house. But maybe we can get Vary in at some point. She's very busy. I don't think she's been in Scotland for a year or so. But she's a very good friend of mine, so we'll see if we can
Maybe
get
come
her.
back if we can tempt her over to the house.
She's got some good stories to tell of working in the film industry.
With Mel Gibson.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all that. Yeah. Right, you're going to stay with us.
Yes.
Not going away. You've still got some coffee left. And I've got even less of what I had. What we're going to talk about now is actually what we're doing and why we're here. This all came
Having fun.
We're not having much cake, that's for sure.
there.
This all came about because of my son and I. We were in Palm Springs, as we usually are in October, and we were invited onto the Coachella Valley version of what we're doing here, and everybody on Arran saw it, and it was on. There was linked onto a couple of the big forums on Arran, the community forums. and my own page and stuff. Everybody said it was really nice, and I was quite impressed with the way Carter managed to represent himself, and so I thought, this is something that he enjoyed doing. So that was really the root of it. But it actually started a lot earlier than this, in a 10-minute conversation I had with Janice. And I know Janice is either watching or she'll come on later and watch it later on. But Janice and I had a 10-minute conversation one day about doing a Facebook Live thing once a week. And it was a 10-minute conversation simply because Janice and I together were very unpolitically correct. And we felt
I don't remember any of that.
No, I think it would have maybe bombed very quickly, or we got taken off the air or something. But we actually thought about it a while ago, and then when I mentioned it to you and you got back to me, it was like I wasn't going to do it unless I could find somebody that was keen to do it with me, and you jumped up and said, yeah, let's do it. So that's
and we've had a lot of fun with the planning of
this.
It's
been really good. We've bought the gear to do it simply because we wanted to make it look professionally, and having said that, I've not even done that before. But we've got all the stuff to do it. We've got a lot of capabilities with the software we've got. You've seen the advert that we've put out. And I've mentioned this to a few people about the fact that we've got this now. You play music. People don't know that I have a home studio as well. So we can create our own music backgrounds. We can do our own videos. We can get professional people to do voiceovers. So it's not just doing this live. It's also going around to people's businesses and shooting some videos, and iPhone videos are fine for Facebook and being on the web, and then it's putting those videos together, giving you the video so that you can take it wherever you want. But we can also stick it on our website as well, and you can link to it from there. So we've got lots of things going on, and it could very quickly grow arms and legs. And we've got to be a little bit careful with that because we actually do work full time as well. So. Hence, we're in here on a Sunday. We don't know if it'll be every Sunday. Senja was asking this earlier on, if one of us is going to be away or whatever. Then, excuse the noise upstairs. That's my printer resetting. Things happening all the time. But if one of us are away, then we may reschedule for another day of the week. So don't be surprised if you see a link saying that we're on Saturday or whatever.
I think we'll try and keep it as consistent as we can.
Yeah, we'll try. It's try, but you've got gigs you go to with your harp and stuff like this. So, but another aspect of it is that we're not just going to do our free service and just call it quits. So, we've already had people offering, before I've even mentioned it, about sponsoring part of the live feed. You might want to sponsor Elmer, our CalMac guy. You might want to...
Elmer's cool.
Elmer's cool. He might change. It depends how available he is. Obviously, he's not from around here. But we would like different aspects of the show to be sponsored. And we can, as you've seen, we can run all sorts of adverts while we're here. We can put photos up and stuff. We can put videos interlaced with the live video. We'll see how long Facebook allows us to do that, but I think we're okay at the moment.
We can have cake.
You can sponsor cake. You can advertise with us. At the moment, we're kind of inviting our own guests in. If you want to come on with a product and flaunt your product live, then we might get 2 guests in. You come in as a paid advertiser, and then we'll get an invited guest in that we've got, because we've got a lot of guests, and we've got about 4 weeks worth, I think, booked.
I think we're up to 5
booked.
now.
Are we?
Yeah.
You haven't told me that.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. So we may get a guest in that's not got a product or service to sell, and I think that's what we're, send you apart. Obviously, we're going to get people
I'm just
that
a guinea pig.
Yeah, but it's nice to
Oh,
have.
it's so lovely. It's been so lovely to have you.
But it's nice to it's
I will
nice to
pass
be.
cake over quite soon.
You can pass it if you like. I'm not going to touch it. I can't eat cake.
You don't? Do you want a
I'll have
strawberry?
I'll have a strawberry in a minute when I
You're
finish.
you're eyeing the pie
Can I
up.
keep talking to the
Sorry.
audience first? Thank you.
He's not
God, it's
getting
all
the
about
pie.
food. So we may end up getting 2 guests, trim the news down at the beginning, and then have a paid guest coming in if they want to show off their product. It depends on you. It depends how popular it gets. It depends how how it grows, if it grows, and I'm sure it will. And you know, we've got all sorts of things we can do. We can go into events a lot more if you wanted to. And there's another aspect of this that we're going to go into in a minute, which is when we end our broadcast, we want to do a sort of "and finally" thing, and we want to speak about something a little bit different every week. Ideas that either Heather or I have come up with, or something that's pertinent that we think has got some potential. I don't know, blowing my own trumpet again, but I'm kind of known for ideas.
He does have some
and
good ideas.
Carter's going to load his software up and take you to one of my ideas that I made in October. If you could got to GoatFell and just video that for me. He's walking up very slowly. It's very impressive, Carter.
Hello to Peebles, incidentally. I just noticed we have Doug and Heather. Yeah, hi.
Alison saying she'd like to promote the new Children's Book Festival. Yes, we know that this is happening in September. There's going to be a new Kids Book Festival. So that's being planned at the moment. I'm quite lucky in this respect as well, that my business with printing and design, I very early on meet people that are coming to Aaron, you know, and sometimes I'm sworn to secrecy about businesses that are starting up, and it's quite interesting to see that coming in and making business cards for new people coming in and stuff like that. So who made the cake?
Susie, we bought the cake. I did have gingerbread to bring in. Les made some lovely gingerbread, but unfortunately it was all gone.
This cake has it's one of Liz's, isn't it? It's from the co-op. Yeah.
It's a good one.
I actually just I wanted to mention this a bit earlier on. I was in the co-op the other night, and I had the usual bottle of wine, and I was at the self-checkouts, and there was a guy coming up next to me to use the adjacent checkout, and we both hit the same things at the same time. We both had one thing to buy, and I didn't look at him, but when I put the wine down on the scales, it gave you that, you know, please wait for the assistant to verify your age. And just as I put that on, his went off as well. So I presumed that he had alcohol. What do you think he had that's not alcohol? There's a whole bunch of things in that co-op that I could not believe that someone of your age, Carter, can buy.
You're not allowed to buy a lighter.
Yeah, no, all right, okay, lighters.
Because there was an Italian once in the co-op trying to buy a lighter for his campfire. He was
mad.
camping and he couldn't buy one.
I can't send Carter down. It was a corkscrew. You can't buy a corkscrew. You can't buy a corkscrew in the co-op because you're 14. It wasn't just, what are you going to do with a corkscrew?
Open a bottle of wine.
I mean,
That's the only thing I can think. I was trying to think, what else would you use a corkscrew
yes, but
for?
What's the threat in a corkscrew? You're going to stand next. It was one of these ones with the old cantilever.
A de Gaulle.
Yeah, whatever. And you'd have to say to somebody, "Oh, just hang on, hold that a minute while I try and pull your heart out."
No, it's because they're
or
going to go
something.
home. The only thing you would have a corkscrew for is to open a bottle of
But
wine.
no, if you're gonna cancel corkscrews, I'm sorry, Liz, you're gonna have to stop people, kids buying lemons just in case they use them in a gin and tonic.
Actually, that's going to cover a lot of things now with the modern gins. There's lots of different things going in.
You can't buy olives anymore for your mum because the co-op might think you're going to go home and make a martini. So, it's mad. The whole thing's gone, and people are going to say, "Oh, it's EU," but it's not. It's not just EU. It's just nonsense.
So did you have to show your driving license
Well,
to prove your age?
He said, "WTF," and I looked across at him and just burst.
No, the ferry's just out there.
It's
just out there.
He said, "Where's the ferry?" And Yvonne's saying, "Plastic knife. You can't buy a plastic knife in the co-op." And she would know. She works there. So, it's mad.
There'll be somebody somewhere being paid a lot of money to think this up.
It just gets really, really. It's getting almost like airplane. Getting onto a plane these days, and getting grilled at the airports for what you have and having it in your bag, and it's that bad. When
So
you can't,
plastic
I
knives
can't
and-
send Carter down to the co-op for a corkscrew. Anyway, I'm not going to mention it anymore. Now, the last thing I had to mention is, that noise under your microphone. The other thing that we talked about was, and this is going back to what we're doing, is if you would like the show in your own venue. Now, this is something we've talked about, but we haven't really discussed how we would do it. We don't need a lot of kit. We need it's about 3 briefcases full of gear, so it's very portable, and we've thought about taking the whole kit one Sunday afternoon into a pub. That'll appeal to you, or any restaurant, or
I don't know where Dusty
coffee
is at
shop.
the moment. Where's Dusty?
Somebody was asking. I will answer that question in a moment, because I have a picture of where I think he might be at the moment. But into a coffee shop, for instance, we can broadcast from anywhere. You would have to have high speed Wi-Fi. Yeah, we really need fibre optic. We can run up to 9 cameras at a time, and in that kind of environment, it may well be that we'll use 5 or 6. So, sorry, Carter, you were going to show us Goat Fell. So we can have up to 5 or 6 cameras running at the same time, and all those take quite a lot of Wi-Fi bandwidth. So we can do it. And if you'd like to, ideally, I'd love to do one in the co-op. I don't know what the legalities of that would be, but it would be quite fun to do one on a Sunday afternoon in the co-op. And then there's a bit more audience participation.
Can we do it at the self-service bit where they're
might-
all trying to
we
check
might.
out wine and corkscrews and
corkscrews.
plastic knives?
So
Could be a challenge. Who gets the most beeps?
Yeah, we could-
it could
Find
be,
objects.
getting down to a distillery would be great as well. Doing it in a venue that's new, or
Oh, the new Lag Distillery is fantastic down there. It's
yeah. Does your
wonderful.
daughter work there by any
Yes,
chance?
she does.
Yeah,
She
did,
does.
Good. Right. Well, that's what we're about. We are open to all sorts of suggestions, and if you'd like us in your venue, yes, we will charge you for it. But you've got to then think about the potential revenue from that from yourselves. But we're in early days. We haven't really discussed how much we're charging people for various things.
There
but,
has to be cake.
There has to be cake involved at every level. Okay.
Well, I'm going to cut this up. I even brought in my nice sweet cake now. Look, nice sweet cake now.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Right. The last thing we're going to do is, as we were saying earlier, we're going to go through an idea every week of what we could suggest to you, and you can get back to us. And this week, I mentioned this to Heather, and she thought it was a fantastic idea, and that was to put across an idea for you guys to think about, so that you can get back to us, because it's not been done before, and that
I
is
think so.
that's an Aaron version of the Oscars. And it would happen, I think, every January when we've got nothing much going on. And what we'd like you to do is, if you think that this has got potential, and I'm thinking about proper things like community member of the year, someone that does a lot for the community but is not really recognised. There's all sorts of people that do little bits behind the scenes. Some of the people that have been involved in the Coastal Way, Aaron Access. We've got a potential guest coming in that could well be applicable for that. If there's someone outstanding in your village, not outstanding in your village, but someone that's outstanding in your village, that's always been known to do stuff for everybody else, then that's the sort of serious aspect. Now, because it's Heather and me, there's also a slightly non-serious thing, and we could go into all sorts of awards for. I mean, what have I got here? Best dressed local. The person that's always walking around.
Oh, I know who that would be. I've got someone in mind for
I mean,
that
we could have the
already.
worst dressed one
Yeah,
as well, but
Whiting Bay?
Uh-huh,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
That's okay. You know who you are.
Yes, you do.
it's got to be best. If it's got to be something positive. If it's a funny thing, because we've then got to go to that person and say, look, you've been nominated or something. So we can't have the worst dressed person, because they're just going to get us upset. They're going to get upset with us. We could have something funny like owner of the car that's most in need of a wash. And I think everybody can relate to stuff like
Mine's
that.
not that bad just now.
I wasn't mentioning you.
Nobody's
Yeah,
been writing their name on it
You should
recently.
you should see the inside of mine. We had another one. Best hospitality, best front of house person, and that could be hotels or restaurants or bars or whatever. Someone that just goes the additional mile. to give you good customer service.
There's quite a few in this
that's a more
island I can
serious
think
one.
of for that. Yeah.
Most sarcastic shopkeeper.
Oh,
I've
well,
already won it. I
yeah.
mean, it's you know.
I don't know, mind you, I can do.
The,
It's not a given.
the person most likely to be seen in the co-op. That's pretty much me as well. It doesn't help when I live next door. And the person most concerned with a ferry who has no intention to travel and is not employed by CalMac.
Oh,
Well, let's think about that for a minute as well. Yeah, who also cuts logs up and stuff. But I think there's a bit of scope for the Arran Awards. We could obviously host it because we've got the gear. Quite happy to think about that as an episode of what we're doing. But if you think it's a good idea, it would be nice. It would be nice to get some feedback off you. And the best way of getting in touch with us is not to email me or Heather privately through our normal channels. It's much better if you can do it through Messenger, because that goes to both of us at the same time, and it's specifically for what's happening on Arran, so we don't have to, we don't have to think that's work coming in. That's just something that we can chat about at a future date, so it doesn't interrupt with our work. So I think that's something that we'd like a little bit of feedback on, just to say if it's got the potential. We'll manage it and run it. So we want a yes or no. That's good. We could do that, and then if that works, then we can say, right, what do you think the categories could be? And that I think that will, you've got a year to think about what we could.
And Susie, we do have a trophy. Susie Thompson's asking,
yeah,
and
we've got access.
We do have actually access. Yeah,
we can get a bunch of trophies.
We've got a cat burglar out
and
stealing all the
Oscars.
Oscars.
At our expense, we will even get them engraved. But it could turn out that we want to have a proper ceremony somewhere. And
there has to be a red carpet somewhere.
We can have a red carpet or a carpet tile, or an offcut. We'll get Mark West to give us an offcut of red. And then we can take it from there and see if it's doable. But it would be nice to do it. We've got lots of ideas coming up in the next few weeks, but that's one that can sit on a back burner for a few weeks. But yeah, we can certainly supply trophies and get them engraved and stuff like that, and make it quite. I don't know. I think it's about time that some of our locals really did get recognised. I've got one person I was telling you about.
I know
before.
There's quite a few people that come to mind that it would be nice just to acknowledge them.
And I think if I say, I'm not mentioning his name, but if I say a guy that drives around with a spade in the back of his car all the time, and he's clearing out ditches and stuff, and he never gets the recognition. He's got a great sense of humour, but he never really gets the recognition that I think he deserves. So
there's a few people like
there
that.
There are a few.
Yeah, we'll make a list, and if you have any ideas, it'd be lovely to hear from you.
Yep.
To hear what they are.
Yep. But yeah, that's us, I think, isn't it?
Time for we do have a guest next week.
We do. Someone's asking about Dusty, and I've got to show where I think Dusty is at the moment.
Dusty?
There's Dusty.
That looks like the pub.
Yeah, we popped into the Douglas the other night, and Dusty.
Was he singing for his pint?
He was. I don't know. He's terrible. He's just. He's a year old, and I've been told his mum's going to be watching this, or his mum's breeder's going to be watching this, and she says, "Oh, his mum's 5 years old, and she's still the same," and I'm worn out already.
He is adorable.
Carter winds him up all the time.
He's adorable.
Yeah. Anyway, that I think is us for the week. We've gone on way too long, 53 minutes.
That was a bit longer than we planned.
I know. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to Senja for coming in.
Oh,
and being
huge thank you to Senja.
Being our guinea pig. Thank you for Carter for just helping out, getting things sorted here earlier on today. He's going to be on a little bit more in the future, hopefully. We'll get him on, and hopefully you'll get to use the software and the hardware as well, and you can do a bit of directing and stuff. Carter's actually hosting the show in Palm Springs in October.
Oh, fantastic!
So he's got to get some practice in for that, but it's all good. And that's another thing. If any of Carter's friends, or you've got kids at the school, at the high school, we're very keen to get them involved in what we're doing. Coming in, using the software, playing with the hardware, the mixing desk that we've got. We've got lots of things with sound effects on that we can play around with.
And you get a free mug.
And no doubt cake as well. Anyone that comes on gets a free mug, so that should encourage half the population. So,
I'm beginning to think the cake's fake, though. Is it?
Yeah, I think I need to cut the cake. Oh!
real. It's real.
It's real. I am going to cut.
Definitely time to go then. Cake's been
What's not
cut.
bad?
Cake's been cut.
Right, thank you
we-
very much for joining us. Well, they get into the cake. I don't know, I think I'll join Dusty in the pub. Till next week, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you next
Thank
week.
you so much
Goodbye.
for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.